imposing strict limitations on the number of people that may gather in place. This meeting of the West Newbury Board of Health will be conducted via remote participation to the greatest extent possible.
All right, thank you, Jane. Okay, it's being at 4:32, we can open the meeting. I just want to say at the outset that I have read the MII guidelines about 4 times over the weekend. And I'd like to hear what everybody else has to say about it, including the school, if possible.
Do we want to give Dan an opportunity to speak first?
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
Is that all right with you, Mr. Chairman?
It's perfectly all right.
I guess you're up, Dan, if you're ready. If you're ready.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I know it's short notice, and I have a few minutes. I have a playoff game actually in 20 minutes here at Kentucky.
Okay.
So
Absolutely.
Basically, what we're looking to do, and we met with the school committee last Tuesday, is the fall 2 is what they call it. Sports season is set to begin this upcoming Monday, February 22nd. Well, the sports that we will look to be holding are it's football, volleyball, and indoor track. So basically, the way it's set up at Kentucky is obviously football is an outdoor sport. We're going to be looking to play outdoors as much as possible. The snow all over the field, there's really no place for us to play right now. The plan for us at the moment is to start practices over at the Amesbury Sports Park in Amesbury because they have a turf field that we could use over there. The volleyball team at Pentucket, the only place that they can play is in the main gymnasium because that's where the anchors are for the netting system that we have. It's the only gym that we could use in the district that would allow volleyball the way that it's set up. So that team would be a JV team and a varsity team, 2 teams, and you're talking approximately 35 girls total between the 2 teams. And then indoor track, I know it sounds like indoor track. We obviously do not have an indoor track. In years past, the teams have used the high school and the middle school to practice, where we might put some hurdles out in the hallways and the girls and the boys would do some practices in those settings. We will not be doing that. It's an indoor track season is what it's going to be called. But what we're looking to do is to have 5 quote unquote indoor track meets beginning the first week in April. And there'd be 5 meets that would take place between the first 3 weeks in April, and they would be held on the outdoor track. So we're just hoping at that point, the weather obviously will cooperate. Usually it does by that time. And the indoor track events, it's basically just a little bit of a difference between an outdoor event and an indoor event in the terms of, just the distances that they run. So we would just have to mark it off a little differently, but the meets themselves would be conducted outside. And then in terms of practices, we may have the indoor track teams doing some high jumping in the mini gym. But other than that, the distance runners and the sprinters and the hurdlers would look to go outside, weather permitting, whenever they can. And, it will start on February 22nd, but they may not be able to go outside and actually use the track until mid-March. And that's kind of what we're preparing for. Cheering was the other sport that was okayed, but it cannot be held at a competition level. And, I don't know how familiar you are with cheering, but there's the cheering that you would have at a football game. And then there's also competitive cheering where they're actually tumbling and doing stunts. And it's just not something that the league is set up for. So we will not be hosting, we'll not be having cheering in the fall 2 season. It's not going to be an option for us. I think Bob's got a question, right?
You're muted, Bob.
Bob, top right. He can hear us though, right?
Yeah, oh, I got it now.
There you go.
Okay. Temperamental. No, I was just curious if anybody else had any thoughts or comments.
Tom, you're muted.
Dan, I have a question for you. So who's going to monitor the 40% building capacity? Who's at each event when you guys are inside?
Well, it's the coaches as well as myself who are inside. Volleyball, I mean, in terms of the 40% capacity, I mean, the gym right now, I think is set at 360 if you have the bleachers. We're talking volleyball practice will have 30 total, I think. And well, if you have the two coaches, 32 at this time. Right now with indoor track, we typically have over 100 student athletes who participate in indoor track. As of today, I believe we have 24 student athletes registered. So between well, the indoor track team, if they do want to use a gym on a particular day to practice, they would have use of the middle school gym, the high school gym, and the mini gym, 3 different spaces. So, you know, and that was thinking if we were talking 60, 80, 100 student athletes, we're going to have to spread them out between 3 gymnasiums. With the current numbers at 25 or so, I mean, that could be 1 gym, 2 gyms tops.
Does that mean?
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Tom. Sorry.
So does that mean the coaches know what the max is? And I know what you're basically saying is that we're not going to get to the 40%.
No,
you're basically saying, and even during games, you don't think we're going to get to the 40%?
Well, the games, volleyball, you can only have 15 players on the roster for a volleyball match.
Yeah.
So between the 2 teams, there's 30, and then 34, I guess, for the coaches. And then I mean, we haven't gotten to that yet, but if we're going to allow senior parents maybe again, I mean, you're talking about another 10 to 20 total at that point.
Okay, so nobody's going to have to ask the question, do we have too many people in here? Because you feel we're never going to get there. Yeah,
we won't. And for football as well, football doesn't want to practice indoors.
Okay.
At all, ever. So there could be a day where it's very, very rainy or snowy and it's extremely cold outside. I've already talked to the coaches about that. The only way they can really use the gym would be some sort of stretching or, you know, like distance, basic cardio work they could possibly do, but we cannot run a practice in a gymnasium with football. It's not possible.
Okay, so ultimately, if we approve this, we can say that the coaches and you would be responsible if there were any question about coming up to that 40% capacity. You guys would be able to police that and make sure we don't go over on that.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I would say that would be me.
Okay. All right. Perfect. Just a scenario. That's all I was playing out. Thanks, Dan.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Real quick question for you, Dan. Not that this has any. Well, it does really. I was looking at obviously the regulations for each sport, and the only thing it did come down to, which I did because you kind of contradicted what it might have said, and I apologize for this, but on practice it says no football practice will be indoors. Period. And that's the MIAA. That's not me. I'm just telling you what it says on their rules here.
Yeah, that did come out originally, but I believe it was 2 or 3 days later the EEA came out they updated their guidelines, which allows for football teams to be indoors again if it was distanced and spaced out, and you cannot, like, we wouldn't be able to even do a walkthrough of plays because we don't have the room. We can't keep everybody distanced at a 6-foot distance and have an 11 on 11 or 22 kids in there running through. Even if it was a walkthrough, it wouldn't happen. You can't do it.
Right. I wasn't trying to be I just was telling you what I read in their rules. The only copy I had.
Yeah.
And I
you know what? It is confusing because we do get a set of rules, and then people look at it and say, "Well, wait a minute. Why can't we at least be inside to calisthenics?" So I think that went back to the EEA maybe 2 or 3 days after the MIA's decision, and they changed it. So it could get changed again. I mean, it might get changed between now and Monday.
And I just have one more comment. I mean, I'm for this. I'm for let you know before I even, because you're probably thinking I'm trying to question things, and I'm really not trying to do that. Okay. The only concern I understand about the whole 40% and stuff. let's say that the volleyball team makes it to championships. I mean, if that's what it's called in volleyball, because I'm not a huge volleyball fan, and they won, they're up to their finals, and everyone in their family wants to come. Do you think we should try to limit that now, or just keep the 40% and go with that? Do you understand what I'm saying?
That's a perfect example. I mean, it's 4 or 5, and at 5 o'clock, Pentucket's playing Linfield in a championship playoff basketball game, and I mean, it's being live streamed. The game is being live streamed to whoever wants to watch it. And
Okay.
at most, 5 senior parents at the game tonight, which was allowed. And that's it.
Okay, no, I just didn't know if it was a concern.
No, it's not a concern. We talked about it. We've actually gotten pretty good at live streaming, so we're looking to do that with all the sports. Yeah, we'll live stream the volleyball. Anything that's in the gym, we can live stream.
Well, I don't know if Bob or Tom have any other questions. I know I feel very comfortable with the rules that the MIAA, is that what it is, have set in place.
So
that's up to Bob.
Yeah,
So
me
Dan,
too. Like I said, I've read them over this weekend. I've got the new set in front of me on the monitor here of what they plan to do. I have no problem whatsoever with them doing it, as long as everybody follows the MIAA guidelines.
So just one last comment for Dan, just so that there's clarification. So what we're kind of leading towards right now is accepting the guidelines as they're written. And with that, the spectator part comes with it, which means each player can have 2 people plus siblings with them at the games. So it's going to be what we're approving, what we potentially could be approving here is not the restriction that we put on basketball, which was just senior parents. Okay. In other words, there's the chance that this could be like a standard non-COVID type of season that you'll be having for indoor participants. And that's kind of why I was kind of drilling the question about who's going to be in charge, because if you have visitors and home and maybe the teams are doing well or it's going to be a good game and lots of people show up, I just wanted to make sure that something was in place for the coaches and for you to make sure we didn't go above the 40%. So I just wanted to make sure you were aware of that. It's not just the containment that we have right now as far as spectators. We're basically saying we're going to approve it the way that it's written. Are you okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. All right.
The number right now through the EEA is 2 adults or parents and their siblings, which that's fine that the EEA writes that, but we might have to be more stringent at Pentucket because we have a very, very small gym. And, it could get to the point I can't allow that many people. So even though the EEA says that at Pentucket, we may have to say, hold on a second, we're going to allow 20 fans and the first 20 that sign up or whatever we do. But just so you know that.
Right, and that's kind of the sticky part that I have about this, because potentially there could be a situation where some people are going to have to be denied access, potentially, as long as the coaches and what 40% is for each venue.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yep.
Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I just have one last comment, and that's it. When we approved, you were obviously part of the meeting, and we'll let you get going to your game. When we approved it, we said there's no exceptions, face coverings, 100%, no exceptions to the rule. If this is voted on, I think we need to have that in place also. Is the board with that?
Yeah, I have a motion that I'd like to read when you guys are ready.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so what I'd like to do is I'd like to make a motion to allow the use of Pawtucket Regional School District High School Gym for the Fall 2021 MIAA Youth Sports for volleyball, football, indoor track and field practice and games, okay? But I want to add the following requirements to that agreement. Must follow all the fall Section 2 2021 MIAA guidelines, which includes EEA and DESI guidelines for football, indoor track, and volleyball. First thing. The second thing is the requirement for proper cleaning based on the Pawtucket Regional School District facilities approved cleaning protocols. Same thing we did previously in the fall for basketball. Requirement that all players, coaches, referees, game officials, and spectators are required to wear facial coverings, no exceptions. This includes all visiting teams. The Board of Health will monitor compliance of MIAA guidelines. The Board of Health will monitor for Pawtucket Regional School District positive COVID cases and any case tracing that links to football, indoor track and field, and volleyball. And lastly, the Board of Health can withdraw its approval for the use of the Pawtucket High School and high school gyms if its use is felt to cause a public risk. That's what I had proposed.
I second that.
Okay, I'll go along with that. All right, motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye, Blake Seal. Aye, Blake Seal.
Bob James, aye.
Done. Get to your game, Mr. Thornton.
Got it, go, I'm going.
All right.
Have a good night.
You too, Dan. Thank you.
Take care.
Yep. Just one other thing, if we got nothing else on the agenda, I went down and had my COVID shot today, the vaccine today. You basically just walk in as long as you've made the appointment. The Board of Health has made the appointment because they're doing it with boards of health. If you've been there before, you can just walk in, sign in. You don't need ID or insurance cards. They should have all that stuff on file. If you haven't been there before, they will require an ID and an insurance card, obviously. But outside of that, it was painless. They're following up. They're using the Moderna. And my follow-up is in 3 weeks from today. I mean, a month from today. So we'll see what happens.
Where was this that you went?
The what is it? The Quick Medic or whatever it is down between McDonald's and
The Convenient MD?
Yeah.
Yes.
Convenient
Yep.
MD.
On Story Ave.
On Story.
Correct.
Oh,
Yep.
good. That's good.
No. And they're referring anybody that calls to their local boards of health. So, you know, which makes you guys kind of
Thanks,
I
Paul.
got a call today.
yeah.
Before we end the meeting, which I think we're done, but besides that point, do we want to schedule a next meeting? And I highly recommend we do it quicker than later. I am really getting concerned about this whole trash thing. I'll be quite frank with you. We have to move on it. And I know I won't really discuss it this evening, but when we took a vote on it, when we signed Jason's contract over a year ago, at that point, I don't know if it's appropriate to talk right now, but we're at a meeting at least. At that point, I think we made that decision that we're gonna have automated. Otherwise, we wouldn't have signed a 5-year contract with Jason Mello for automated trash. Am I wrong at that?
No, you're
So I
not.
thought we already voted.
Yeah, we already voted
You
that.
did.
Okay, I thought at last meeting, I was a little confused about the automated. So I apologize. That would be my fault.
I think what I wanted to do was make sure that we get something out to the public, as soon as possible, so that we have time enough for feedback and we have time enough for doing whatever we need to do to, get this thing out and rolling.
Yep. Okay, I guess I was confused, so I apologize to both of you. I just wanted to get going on. Jason got back to Jane, and he'd like to get order, and I believe in March, Jane? Is that correct? To give him ample time on our barrels, to put the symbols on the side and yada, yada, yada. So, that was it.
Okay, well, send out the potential meeting dates, and then I'll look at my schedule and so that we can iron this out and get this going right away. We can get some dates in place. I think that'd be good.
Yeah. Tom, how's your wife doing? All kidding, how's your wife doing?
She's doing good. She was doing good, and then she had a dizzy spell and she fell.
Oh.
And so, but she fractured her cast, but she didn't do anything to her leg. So it's like 3 steps forward and 2 steps back. So, but I'm not a nurse. I'm a pharmacist. Right. So, they fall. You know?
Right.
Okay, with that said, Tom, what kind of drugs did you give her?
No. Believe me, I say no to drugs all the time. I'm not a big, I'll give them to people, but I don't like taking them or having anybody take them. So she's going to be okay, but we still need to watch her. So she's getting better. Thank you for asking.
Good. I just want to make sure she's doing good.
Yeah. So.
All right, Jane, why don't you throw out, not right now, but if you want to throw out a few dates in the next couple of days or whenever you're in, Thursday, Monday, and see what everyone can agree on for our next meeting.
Yeah, I was just looking at the calendar, and you guys, I think you talked about the next one being March 9th, but wait a minute.
Yeah,
Yeah, March 9th.
that was a date. Yeah, I thought that was a date we had talked about.
Why don't we let Tom look at it when he gets a chance and
send
go
out
right.
Jane, send out some potential dates that we could do on Tuesdays or whatever, and then I will respond to everybody so that they'll know what my availability is. For the most part, I'm working days, but I have a couple of overnights that I'm working coming up, and so I'm not positive right now.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Can I also ask you to send me your motion?
I will.
Yeah,
I was just going to say that I was going to do that. So exactly what I read, okay? All right, it'll be way less painful this time.
Good job, Tom.
All right, guys.
All right, have a good evening. We'll talk to you next time. Again, Bob, you got something?
All right.
No, I was just going to say if there's anything else. If there isn't, then we can adjourn the meeting.
All right.
Adjourn. Thank
Okay.
you.
All you